Hey everybody, welcome back to another exciting episode of the Stash Report for the Stash Project. Today is April 19th, 2021, and we have kit releases, of course. We also have some kit announcements from Meng and from Nunu Hobby, as well as Revell. We have some delivery release updates for some Tamiya kits, and yeah, lots of stuff. So we're not going to dilly-dally too much. A couple of pieces of housekeeping up front. Number one, last video we mentioned the SCCA spec Toyota 2000 GTs and exactly whether they're real or fake or some sort of somebody's imagination. Turns out, after I did a little research afterwards, that in 1968, Carroll Shelby actually prepped those 2000 GTs, two of them, to be raced. And yeah, well, long story short is they ended up getting sort of screwed over by the SCCA as far as their intake requirements. Ended up losing the necessary horsepower to really be competitive. The race team never really did that well. Wasn't like an abysmal failure, but was not the just straight walking on the competition that Toyota had expected. They pulled support of the team at the end of the 1968 season, and it shall never be talked about again. Link in the description for an article about those cars and about the program and about how probably Porsche complained and got the rules changed because the 2000 GTs were going to be substantially faster than the 911s were in 1968, and then suddenly they were not. Second piece of housekeeping is the fact that this past weekend, just yesterday, as a matter of fact, we were interviewed on Joshua Rysdam's channel, Rysdam's Design. He does a Meet the Modeler thing pretty much every Sunday now for the last couple of months. Last week was Ari Styrene. This week was me. Next week will be Fred Henry, West Georgia Rods and Customs. So if you're interested in getting like a little hour sort of interview from Josh to some YouTube personality that you may or may not know, go check that out. Again, link in the description down below to the interview if you missed it live. It's live streamed at 2 p.m. East, 11 a.m. West. Like I said, pretty much every week. Didn't do it on Easter, obviously, because of the holiday, but other than that, seems to be a weekly deal. And yeah, there's probably a back catalog of 8, 10, 12 or so interviews, and then again, going forward every week. So you want to check that out. We did post about it on our Facebook page the night before, but in case you missed it or you're interested in seeing it, it is, like I said, available, saved in a playback format. So there is that. So let's talk about some stuff on the new side of the hobby, shall we? So a couple of release dates that have been updated. The new tool, Nissan 240ZG. The 124 scale. They do, of course, have that 112 scale kit that was released and then updated and all those things a couple years ago. This is a 124 scale kit. It's brand new. Doesn't share anything with any other kit from any other manufacturer. It's going to be full detail. Supposedly it's going to have some parts that make the wheels. There's trash can lid wheels that are on the ZGs, a little easier to paint and assemble. It's one of the reasons why I have not built one is because the wheels are a couple different colors and finishes, and they really need to be split into pieces in order to do that an effective way. It doesn't involve masking them in two different ways and having it take like 12 hours to paint your wheels. But definitely looking forward to that. Probably end up selling the one ZG that I actually have because I don't need it anymore because I'll buy this one instead. Looks like it's going to sell for about $33 in Japan, and that is now a June release in Japan, which maybe we get that late May in the U.S. It all depends. We were supposed to get the Senate early, and then all the shipping and cargo ship traffic jam out in California. We ended up getting that a month later than everybody else. So the whole, well, we're going to get it early. Yeah, we might, but also probably not. And then in July, something that was added is a reissue of their 1/12 scale Brabham BT44B. It's a Martini livery car, ran an F1 in 1975. And this is, of course, a reissue of one of those, one of the origin story kits from Tamiya. For people who don't realize that they pretty much started making like plastic model car stuff, is these 1/12 scale F1 cars. So for people who are interested in that type of vehicle, that will be coming back out. Let's do the June spot runs from Aoshima real quick, so we can get into the sort of the juicier bits of the announcements here. So reissue of the '79 Toyota Mark II Chaser MX-41, reissue 2007 Rally Lancer Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 10. Always talk about that kit because it is the only Aoshima Evo 10 that has the left-hand drive dashboard and left-hand drive wipers in it. Reissue of the Liberty Walk Liberty Works R35 GTR version 2. That's the one with the gray battleship Rising Sun livery on it. And then Liberty Walk Liberty Works R35 GTR version 1.5, which is the white car with the 2019 headlights and all that stuff added to it. And then a whole mess of 14-inch wheels. So you got reissues of the Yayoi, the Longship XR4, the Star Sharks, the Hayashis, the Shadow Spokes, the Kaku Tekken Type 1s, the Techno Phantoms, and the Formula Mesh, which again all go with these Grand Champion kits that are going to be reissued over the summer. So the wheel sets are obviously getting repopped as well. So let's talk about some new kits, or some new kit announcements anyway. Let's start at Revell, because I know that's probably the thing most people will be interested in straight off the bat. So first up, we got sort of a box art and decal teasers for several things here. And first up, you have the Bronco half cab with the rail, the dune buggy in the trailer. So that, as we mentioned, was something got tossed onto Japanese distribution lists because, of course, Hasegawa is Revell's distributor in Japan still. And now we've gotten, I don't know if you can call it official confirmation, because it wasn't like Hasegawa was going to lie about something. But yeah, there you go. So that's what that's going to look like, along, like I said, with the decals. Looks like that'd be kind of interesting to have water slide decals on the dune buggy. Remember, the dune buggy and the trailer this was all part of sort of a snap tight kit type of deal back in the day. So that's coming back out. Probably still be a snap tight kit, but at least like you don't have to paint the white on the tires because there are tire markings on there and stuff like that. So it'll be interesting. Fun. Plus, it was 135 on the box there on the number there, but they give you a whole bunch of numbers. So you can make the little round draw any number you want it to. So that's kind of cool. And then, yes, you already saw it there peeking out. It is the reissue of the 30 Ford Model A 2-in-1s. You know, also got the decals there. Got some checkerboard firewall detail, depending on whether you build the channel chassis or the regular one. Wide whites and all sorts of fun stuff there. So something to remember going into this is that the engines have been swapped out in these two kits. Remember, the 29 reissue that just came out a few months ago has the 350 small block with the blower on. That means that this 30 has the nailhead out of the Buick engine out of what was the 29 originally. So going into that, demanding a small block Chevy, you're going to get absolutely nowhere. You're going to get a Buick. You may like it, you may not, but that's just the way that was planned, probably when they were going to be reissued. Anyways, to swap the engines, the whole point of those chassis and everything is that they're modular and go back and forth, and you can part swap however you need to. But yeah, that's coming back out finally. I was trying not to be too catty online. I very much wanted to in a comment section when this was revealed. These are all photos from an IPMS show that Revell was at a few weeks ago, and they were like, oh, the 30 Ford, it's really coming back. It's like, yeah, and like 5 different people have been telling us coming back. Like again, every time this comes up, I say I spoke to Ed Sexton in person at NNL East in 2019, and he said it was coming back in 2021. And then Tim Boyd, who, you know, big name, magazines, books, everybody knows who Tim Boyd is. Again, it has, you know, contacts within Revell. Well, it's going to come back in 2021. And everybody didn't believe us. And the line to apologize starts right here. Anybody who wants to, you know, swallow their pride and admit that they're complete total dillholes for the last 2 years, refusing to believe people who talk to the people that would know, feel free. Because, holy moly. Anyway, the next thing up, you might have seen peeking out of the bottom there, is a reissue of the Henry J. Gasser. I assume this is a demanded thing because I have a whole bunch of people's reaction to this was, oh my god, it's coming, the Henry J's coming back out. Yeah, I'm not exactly a Gasser guy in the first place, or a drag guy at all. I've had a few people talk to me about this kit, and everything I've seen to see about it is, well, if they restored it back to the way it was originally, that's not happening. It's coming back the way it was the last time. So it doesn't have the original parts. It's got the Krager wheels that nobody likes and all that sort of thing. And nobody has anything good to say about this model kit. I don't know, because I have never built one. It was one I swore off Revell kits right around the time those things came out, because they had done me wrong with those opening door 57, the Tri-5s that they had, and that was the same era of the hot rod kits. But well, it's way before the Hot Rod kits, but it was being reissued in the Hot Rod series at that point. Um, but I have a person who is pretty much a happy-go-lucky guy, doesn't say a lot of bad things about model kits, even if they deserve it. And his reaction to that was, are they really bringing back that epic piece of shit in a box? So, yeah, they are actually. So go run out and grab one of those. A couple other things here from Revell of Germany that were shown on the board. First up, you have this, which is a reissue of the Fujimi GT40. So everybody who thought this could be a new tool, wrong answer. But we will talk about a new tool forward here in a second. Yeah, so you ought to know what you're getting with that. The Fujimi GT40, which has been reboxed by Revell before in the past, is from the early 1980s. It's a 30-some-odd year tool at this point. Still holds up pretty well, given its age and given the fact that Fujimi seemed to care when they made it. But it is a kit that's been around, and you know, again, it's not hard to find one in the Fujimi boxing if you wanted one right away and don't want to wait. And then lastly is this, a reissue of the original 1983 Peterbilt 359 kit. This is not the monogram snap-tight kit that has been reboxed into a Revell kit. This is the original glue kit from the early 1980s. It has 300 plus parts. The door's open. It actually has a different engine in it than the snap-tight kit does. Because remember, back when those two kits were made, Revell and Monogram hadn't merged yet, so they were competing with each other in a sense with these two kits. It is an oddball 1/25th scale Monogram kit, but yeah, this one is way more intense and way more what you would consider to be a truck kit in terms of parts content, and it has hoses and chains and all these little like bits and pieces to it. Got a whole new set of decals in it, which is pretty cool because this is sort of a modern Peterbilt striping package that they're putting on this older 359. And yeah, it's a cool truck. We talked last week about them reissuing the auto transport trailer. If you are of an age or do remember, they offered the auto transport trailer with this truck and two early 1980s F bodies, a 82. Well, I think technically they were 83s at that point because they were annual kits for 2 years. But it was an 83 Firebird with a custom target top, and then an 83 Z28 Camaro came with this truck and the auto transport trailer. It was called Prestige Auto Transport. And yeah, so like I said, this is the original truck that's supposed to go with that trailer. If you're so inclined, it's been a little while since that truck's been out. It'll be pricey because it's Revell of Germany, but you know, or more pricey than the Snap-Tight kit 359 is. So yeah, cool, very cool. So Meng announced a new kit this week, actually this morning, and it is this, a 1/24 scale version of their 4GT40. So this is going to be the 1/12 scale kit that they just did, shrunk in half. Exactly, shrunk in half. This is another thing. There's been a stupid fight on forums where people will keep saying to me dumb things like, "Oh, I'd like to see what it looks like in plastic." Well, it's going to look like the 1/12 kit, half as big. Well, you know, the design features look a little funky. I'll have to see what it looks like when it comes out. It's going to look like the 1/12 scale kit, only half as big again. This is literally that kit shrunk in half. 1/12 and 1/24 are one's 2 times as big as the other one. So it has all the funky suspension components, all the funky engine components. The front fenders still have the wrong shapes to them. They're not going to fix this. I see a whole bunch of people piling into Meng lately going, "Oh, you need to fix all this stuff." Guys, this kit's supposed to come out at the end of May. It's almost the end of April. They're not fixing anything. This is going to be in production. If you don't like the problems with the 1/12 scale kit, understand that they are going to carry over into this kit, only half as big as we were before. Maybe it won't be so obvious half as big as it was, but it's going to be the exact same thing. The literature for this literally says our 1/12 scale kit now in 1/24 scale. So yes, exactly, only half as big. Why do I keep doing that? Because it's very frustrating when you tell somebody something and they proceed to act like you're lying and then say something stupid. It's driving me crazy. I'm at my wit's end with this. $43.23 if you buy this through Hobby Easy. Again, May 30th delivery, what's showing right now. Is that going to happen? Yeah, probably by end of June at the latest, I would assume. Meng's pretty good about hitting their production dates. And yeah, I want to care one way or the other about how accurate it is, but I'm coming to a point where either I'm getting weak in my old age or the stupidity of people online have sucked the desire to be correct out of me, where it's just like, hey, does it look like a GT40 to 99% of people? It does. Okay, good enough. And I hate being good enough guy. I really do. I like being like nitpicky replica guy. That's my jam. But man, they're sucking the life out of me with this. Nobody wants to listen. Like, this channel's almost 6 years old. And I realize I'm a dude on the internet with waddles behind me, but like 6 years, I feel I've built a reputation over those 6 years. And then when you have other people who are the box art designer, or the box art builder for Revell, or the box art builder for Round 2, or big name person everybody recognizes the name of, like Tim Boyd, or I think there's actually a Round 2 person on the forums that's there on the down low on a unassumed identity, if you will. Like, all these people say what something is, and then the next words that come out of somebody's mouth is, well, if that... Well, what do you mean if? There's no if. It is. Stop saying if. That is straight up down low calling somebody a liar. And everybody does it. It's not just a modeling thing. It happens all over right now. Stop telling people if something. If something is a fact, it is a fact. There's no ifing the facts. You may have your own opinion. You may not have your own set of facts. So, over to Nunu, where they've announced a few different things for the Shizuka Hobby Show. You're going to see these more in detail at Shizuka Hobby Show. A couple of these are going to be just sort of redone with new decals and probably a few new parts in them. A couple of them are a little more dramatic than that. First up, our straight reissue is going to be the Lancia Delta S4 and the Martini livery from the 86 Monte Carlo Rally. This is the B-Max kit, the original S4. Apparently, there was enough demand for it that they are reproducing it with a Platts Nunu box in that Martini livery. And I didn't necessarily think we'd see that happen, but I guess that B-Max and Nunu, being that they're the same company, they're the ones that own the rights to the licensing of this stuff, not Aoshima versus Platts. So yeah, be interested to see if anything else gets reissued, but that's coming back. On the new decals, new parts content, you're going to get a reissue of the AE92 Corolla Levin in the 1991 Japanese Touring Car Championship Advan livery. If that sounds vaguely familiar to you, it's because Hasegawa just released that kit like 3 months ago. I'm not really sure how wise it is for these two companies to keep going at each other in terms of what they're releasing something that's already been done by the other company. This should have new wheels. It should have a new windshield wiper. It should have some new fuel inlets. There's just basic scant information about these kits. They're just parts numbers and vague descriptions right now. Then there's going to be a reissue of the Porsche 935 K3. That's going to be the 1980 Le Mans Italia Garazzi livery. And that should have a new set of rear fenders. If it does, then I'm in for a couple of them, because that's that rear fender, rear wing, rear vent setup. And remember, if you have a K3 or K2, the fenders are separate from the body. So they could just do this very easily with new fender pieces. That same fender setup that's on the Garazzi kit is also what underpins the Apple car and the Sachs car from IPMS, which of course are probably the two more famous ones, being that they won their classes and stuff like that over the years. And also a reissue of the Mitsubishi Starion Group A car from the 1985 JTCC season. That should have new wheels included in it in order to backdate the car to 1985. And then a modified reissue, and kind of ironic because this was the first version of this we saw as a prototype that ended up being not the car, the kit that came out, is the 2004 Super Touring spec BMW 320i, the E46. You may recall, again, this was the first body and it has a great big wing on it, which the Dutch Touring Car Championship car does not have. And it's very specific to 1 year, 2004 Super Touring. It's that 1 year spec. It's going to be released with a BTC, British Touring Car Championship livery for a car that won Donington in, I think it's 2004. It does, 2004 spec. And this car also ran in Macau. It also ran in DTC, ETC, so I'm sure some other liveries will be done for it. And then last thing is a brand new tooling announcement, and they're going to be doing a 1997 Volvo S40. You're like, what the hell is that? That's the follow-up, by the way, to what the Tamiya kits are. Remember, Tamiya did the 840 wagon and then the 850 sedan for BTCC. And then this would be the car that followed after it, the S40. It is done up for the 1997 season Brands Hatch race winner, Richard. Oh crap! I can't think of what the heck this guy's name is, and I don't want to say it wrong. So let me Rydell. So that kit is going to be coming out. I don't believe that kit ran Macau. I mean, I think there's 2 team cars for this race team. I'm assuming they'll probably do decals for both. And but the livery is going to be specifically to the one that won the race. And I think there was 1 privateer version of this, so I'm not sure where else this kit goes in terms of tooling. Maybe there's a 96 or a 98 version of it, but it'll look really good next to eventually your mid-90s Audi A4, because that was a competitor in BTCC. I'm all in for any 90s touring car you want to give me, so yes, please. And so there's that. And all of those kits we just mentioned, of course, are going to come with their own photo etch and detail upsets, which may or may not include other parts of the livery, although I don't think any of them really need to, based on what I've seen of the liveries. And that does include a new PE set for the Monte Carlo Martini S4, even though technically it's probably going to be the exact same one as the BMAX kit with a new logo on it. But if you're searching for this after that kit comes out, understand where you need to go to find the detail upset. It'll be a new one, not a BMAX one. So there is all of that. The next version of the E46 may not appeal to a wide spectrum of people, but it's exciting to me because I know what else is baked into that tooling, and that's the stuff that I want to see come out. And the S40 was a little bit of a surprise. I hadn't heard about that project, and yeah, that's cool. I like that. It's a great big Volvo corporate logo. It's the next evolution of the Tamiya versions, and it'll be very cool. Just a piece. It's a Volvo race car, because like, come on, how many Volvo race cars are there? There are very few and far between. Now you have the 80s box, the 90s box, and the late 90s box. Everybody wants to race the box. People love the box. And I believe that covers the new stuff as I look here. And I think that does. So let's talk about kit releases this week, shall we? Okay. So on the domestic side of things, first up, you got the Salvino's JR 1973 Dodge Charger kit. Yes, this is officially out to all you filthy plebs who aren't part of the Builders Club. Brand new body, probably new engine components, I would assume. Possibly new suspension components as well. I really haven't seen the inside of one of these, and I haven't seen anybody. Well, that's not true. There's a video of this, and I didn't meant to watch it just so I could say for sure what was in it, and then I haven't had time. Last week, I got my 2nd dose of the Rona shot, and that knocked me out for a day, which is why last week's video was late. And yeah, so it's a new body. I know that for sure. Obviously, it's riding the same universal chassis, because that's going to underpin all of the Salvino's kits that are their own things. This is not a reissue of some Revell tool or something from the past. This is a brand new kit. It should have a K-frame front end underneath of it, and it should have, obviously, the Mopar specific engine to it. There is a 1971 version of this we mentioned in the past. It's going to be done by Mike's Decals, and I believe also this time around Model Roundup is in on it, as well as another vendor. So that's supposed to be coming in the middle of this week, but the liveried car, the official Salvino's kit, is out there for you vintage NASCAR fans. So you waited long, and your wait is finally over. Over on the Japanese side of things, everything we're going to talk about here, except for 2 kits, are going to be Aoshima reissues and spot reissues. So let's talk about those 2 Hasegawa kits first, because they are the 2 sort of probably most waited for kits this week, this week as well. First up, you have the 1989 version of the Nissan Skyline R32 GTR. So this has a new front bumper and new sort of side spats. I don't know what else to call them. They're sort of the bottom of the body contour right in front of the rear wheels. Those are much different on the Nismo version that they did originally. So this is much more, if you want to call it GTR factory stock. I mean, it is factory stock, but it's, pretty badass factory stock. This is basically the factory stock version of the car as it originally was released in 1989. Skyline came out as an R32 in late 1988, but the GTR version did not come out until 1989. So this takes you back to the original, if you will. It's painted very much to look like the original, watch, I think it's the grade up version, or the detail up version of the Tamiya kit as far as being silver. But yeah, that's out there. Again, most of the parts carry over, just a few new pieces in there, some pieces that you didn't use in the kit from the original issue that are now used. And then the other one is this, the 1989 version of the Nissan Bluebird 4-door 2000cc Triple S Altezza Limited. So this has, let me get my list out here to make sure we get all the parts covered. It has new bumpers front and back, new wheels, as well as a whole new rear light assembly. So the chrome part underneath the lights is different. The center piece where the license plate mounts is different. Then has new glass as well. Some of the other pieces in here, again, are going to be pieces that are already in this kit that haven't been used before, but they've always sort of been there in the grayed out, don't use these parts section parts. So this right here is what they need to do to underpin the later version of the SSSR, rally prep version, which we talked about last week, is a kit that's going to come out later this summer. So yes, that is out there for you. On the Aoshima side of things, the actual kits for this month, if we will. First up, you have this. It is the 1984 Nissan Sylvan Nissan Gazelle, the S12 chassis. This is an old motorized kit. It's kind of shady on the details. The wheels are kind of weird. They're pretty much a really good depiction of these not quite well-drawn box art wheels. I mean, I guess at least they're accurate in that way, but they don't really look like the real wheels that much. There's another set of wheels in here as well. You can build it as a Gazelle or a Sylvia. It's two different models sold at two different versions of the Nissan stores that were available in the 1980s. And yeah, I mean, it's the only version of this that exists, but at the same time, it's next up in the supercar lineup, as it evolves, is this is a reissue of the Lamborghini Sesto Elemento, the basically raw carbon fiber car. It's probably not possible to create a carbon fiber wrap for this in a weave that would look accurate in 1/24 scale, because the weave on this car is real small because it's dry carbon, not the wet carbon that you would think of when you think of spoilers and splitters and interior components and things like that. But it is definitely carbon fiber. It doesn't have paint on it. And, there's a couple of different companies that make paint, that looks like what the car looks like if you're standing 25 feet away from it. And that probably is going to have to suffice in most cases. But it's a pretty cool kit, full detail and all the rest of that stuff, just being reboxed into the series. And then also it has a PE set that is available, sold separately. It comes with a couple of metal logos, some five-point racing harness, pre-cut seatbelts, and then a little sheet of photo etch back there for all the vents and radiators and the seatbelt harness material and brake rotors and all that kind of good stuff. So that's back out there. Also in the new kits this week are the two initial D kits. These existed already. They're just being boxed into the 25th anniversary boxings. And we have Takahashi Ryosuke's FC3S RX-7. It does come with the 13B rotary engine insert in it. So if you're looking for the engine, it's in this kit. And then you also have Hojo Run's R32. The R32 from Aoshima is not a really great kit. It is by far the weakest of the R32s that are out there. It doesn't have a four-wheel drive chassis. It's just a rear-wheel drive Nissan chassis. It does come with the RB26 DET engine insert if you're interested in that. Both these kits are pretty old. The Skyline is older than the RX-7. And then they had a whole bunch of new parts added to them in 2015 to make these new kits out of them for the initial D series. They're good. They're serviceable, and they're, again, specific to the initial D series. So, in that sense, they're good kits. Chassis leave a little bit to be desired on both. Interiors are pretty good. They're platform interiors, and yeah, it's certainly something if you're collecting the initial D kits. And then just a couple of reissues for this month. We got the Nissan Terrano has come back out again. This is the Nissan Pathfinder, but in the JDM version of it, it does come with a left-hand drive dashboard and a left-hand drive wipers and all that stuff, so you can still almost build a Pathfinder out of it. And then we also got to reach to the 2010 Toyota Alphard van, so just something that's being reprinted for the shelves. And then we got the last couple of sets of wheels for this month. On the VIP 20 side, you have the fabulous Various MB5 Phase 3, the Traffic Star DTX, the DAD, that's such a blob on the box art, I can't even read what the heck that's supposed to be. The Zouglin wheels, of course, looks exactly like Zouglin. And then the Muscle Magic AWC Daytona steel wheels in 16-inch wheel size there. So, guys, I believe that wraps this week up. So, lots of stuff to talk about there in terms of summer releases. The Revell stuff is probably going to be mid to late summer, I'm going to guess. Those kits are not officially on, like distribution lists like Stevens International and stuff like that yet. So probably be late June, July, August, that kind of time frame for those. But at least, hey, there's some more Revell news that you didn't have before, as well as, of course, the bringing back, resurrection of the Model A that a lot of people didn't get, I should say, don't get. Well, a lot of people don't get the kit in the first place. But yeah, I have one of the original ones. I've never been the clamoring for the reissue guy. I've always wanted it to come back out because I know so many people didn't get one. But yeah. Cool. Don't need it, but cool. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. 17 weeks to IPMS Nats. The countdown continues. See you guys on the other side.